Did you know Hugh Jackman was almost never Wolverine in the first place? He wasn't even first choice or second choice for that matter. The definitive role of his career and one of the most iconic superhero portrayals of all time almost never happened. Deadpool and Wolverine releases this week, so I thought it's as good a time as ever to take a trip down memory lane just before the year 2000. When they were casting for the first X-Men film, director Bryan Singer's first choice to play Wolverine was actually Russell Crowe. But Russell Crowe was like, nah, I'm not feeling it. However, I do know a fellow Australian young and up-and-coming actor called Hugh Jackman, who I think would be perfect for the role. But it's important to remember around this time in the year 1999-2000, Hugh Jackman was basically unknown. He had one or two movies under his belt, and most of his experience came in the theatre. So then a plethora of actors, including Hugh Jackman, were allowed to audition for the role. Even Viggo Mortensen, who played Aragorn on the Lord of the Rings series, was offered a chance. But ultimately, Hugh and all the other actors failed those auditions, and the role went to Dougray Scott, who you may know as the villain from Mission Impossible 2. So the plan was for Dougray Scott to film Mission Impossible 2 and then come and do X-Men straight after. But the problem was, the film that Tom Cruise was doing before MI2, Eyes Wide Shut, had a delayed production, which then had a knock-on effect and delayed Mission Impossible 2. So not only did MI2 have a delayed start, but they had production issues, reshoots. Dougray Scott even got injured in one of the motorcycle action scenes. But despite all of this, Fox were prepared to wait for their guy, their Wolverine, once Mission Impossible gave them an official end date to their production. But that official date never came. It kept on getting delayed and delayed. The X-Men movie kept getting pushed back to the point was like, we can't push this back anymore. Even Dougray Scott was like, Tom Cruise, can I not do both films at the same time? Tom Cruise was like, no. You have to stay here until we finish filming. They did everything they could to make it work. They waited for as long as they could, even to the point where when they eventually cast their new Wolverine, they were already 3 weeks into filming the X-Men movie, but they had to move forward, and move forward they did. And their choice was none other than Hugh Jackman. 2 decades of playing Wolverine, and now 24 years later, we're gonna see him play the role yet again. Think about it. Somewhere in the multiverse, if it wasn't for Tom Cruise and Eyes Wide Shut, we never get Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. So thank you, Tom Cruise, I guess.